also just thinking about like, again, if we're kind of like looking at the longevity or the quality of life piece, what is, most analogous to what these people are going to be doing and where they're going to be needing it? Well, if it's bending over and picking something up, that's some kind of hinge, right? Some kind of hinge. If it's, sitting down and standing back up, some kind of squat. Now, you can use variations, right? And I would never, I don't want to say never because it's a superlative, but I very rarely would take somebody who's like fresh off the street and just put a barbell on their back and say, okay, learn how to squat, because I mean, it's going to be like Bambi trying to stand up, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, you're probably going to, maybe even start them off with no weight and just teach them how to hinge, how to use their hips, how to use their knees, how to track, their legs with their feet and those sorts of things, and just balance. Because if you've never like put a barbell on your back, I mean, it's not a comfortable position. And honestly, to do it well, you shouldn't feel comfortable. You should feel very tight, most places. And then like once they're established with that, then moving to where they're like holding a kettlebell in front of them, and then you can progress with weight with that. And then maybe you progress to something like a safety bar, where they're not having to worry so much about hands and whatnot, to a box, and then eventually take the box away. And then maybe then you can progress to a barbell squat. But I would say that, the Puritan in me would be like, yes, everybody should barbell squat, but I know that that's not true. I think the biggest thing is just getting something close and analogous to the things that are going to be important in your day-to-day life as you get older, especially if, quality of life is important to you. And I mean, when we talk about, people who fall as elderly, I think I read something insane, like half the people over age 65 who go in the hospital for a fall never come out. Or I think it's something of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen many studies on this. The one that sticks out in my mind was 30 to 40% of people over the age of 65 who break their hip will not live, will be dead within a year of that insult.
Yeah, because you got infection, and then you have them that you're also like, they're going to have to be immobilized for so long.
And then they get pneumonia or atelectasis pneumonia or something like that. So yeah, it's awful. I mean, yeah. I think, there's a study, and I think I even mentioned this on a previous podcast, but we should link to it. It was an Australian study that took a group of older women. I don't remember exactly how old they were, but they certainly looked like they were in their 60s or above, who all had at least osteopenia, if not osteoporosis. And it put them on a relatively unsophisticated lifting program. Unsophisticated in that there wasn't a lot of instruction other than just pick up weights. Mm-hmm. It was mostly just pick up weights. And as I saw the video on YouTube of the PI discussing this. Isn't it fantastic?
Yep.
Because they're in this totally old school gym, and you've got these old ladies picking up weights, walking around, some of them getting I remember one lady was picking up her body weight.
Yeah.
I mean, she was basically deadlifting her body weight.
Yeah.
These are women who had never lifted a weight before, and their symptoms just got so much better.
Absolutely. And I mean, the best thing you can do for like bone density is lift weights. So this isn't like a mutually exclusive thing. In fact, people get really focused on the bone density portion of this when we talk about falls and whatnot. So they get very focused on how do we keep them from breaking their hip? Well, what if they didn't fall in the first place?
Yep.
Right. What if they had the strength to catch themselves?
Exactly. Yep.
The balance to catch themselves. And then like, again, even if they did fall, if you have more muscle mass, you're probably going to have more bone density as well. These are all things that are going to help. And, resistance training is great because you can have these other sort of interventions that can improve lean body mass and whatnot, but they all work way better with resistance training because you're creating the need for the tissue. And that's something I think that has been missed a little bit, is the teleological perspective of this, which is you have to give your body a reason to lay down tissue. Muscle tissue is pretty energetically expensive, relatively speaking. So again, I'm kind of speaking philosophically, but the body is not just going to go, oh yeah, we got some extra calories, let's just lay down some lean tissue. It doesn't make sense because from the body's perspective, the number one thing it's trying to do is keep you alive long enough to reproduce. And then once you've done that, it's just trying to prevent you from starving. Like the risk of dying from starvation over the course of human history is magnitudes greater than like diseases from too much nutrition. I mean, that's basically a 21st century problem. So the idea that, oh, well, like if I eat some higher protein, I can lay down some more lean body mass. Yeah, you can, but it's going to be really, really minimal compared to what you can build through resistance training. And then when you couple resistance training with high enough protein, or, any of these other modalities, now you're creating the turnover in the tissue that the body has the requirement to lay down that tissue.